All right. Good to see everybody. Welcome to 2024. Nate Jomaa here with the Epic Mortgage team and the Space Coast Real Estate Spotlight. And today, my guest is Clinton Luke with Denovo Real Estate. He is the expert in Space Coast Real Estate, and he is going to get into it today with us and talk about what he thinks we're going to be able to expect in Space Coast Real Estate in 2024. Be right back. What is up? How are you, man?
I'm great. Looking at that intro, I definitely need one of those of my own for sure.
You need an intro?
Yeah, man, that was cool.
I can hook you up. I know where to get intros.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so no, everything is great with me. 2024 is gonna be a hit for sure.
Yes.
Um, I feel like we're already making traction. It's been, the day after Christmas last year, where we're already seeing more showings, more buyers, more activity. So it's gonna be wild.
Yeah, definitely. So, a couple of things I wanted to get into. What are you seeing right now with the number of listings that we have on the market versus say even 90 days back?
Gosh, like I remember a couple of years back when it was like 700 or 800 listings in all price points throughout the whole county. I haven't really seen anything lower than 2,200 all of last year. And then I remember there was 90 days ago, it was more like 25, roughly 25-ish. Now we're at 3,700, 3,800. And I feel like that number is going to continue to grow for a good month and then skyrocket down, just for the number of buyers that are waiting for the interest rates to drop, the number of buyers that have just been waiting for tax season, the number of buyers in general that have just been waiting. I have renters that are like, "Hey, I got you next February, next like springtime. I got you. Let's go." So it's definitely going to be a big change, in my opinion, at least.
So there's a lot of inventory right now. You think that we're going to see those numbers shrink a little bit when all the buyers that are currently on the sidelines come back into the game?
Yeah. Now I say shrink and go crazy because there are a lot more listings on the market right now that have probably been sitting for about 100 days or so. But you got to remember that a lot of the buyers are also sellers. So a
Mhm.
lot of people want, when those rates drop, that's another section of buyers that are waiting for a chance to buy a home. They're stuck in there 2, 3%, and they're going to be okay with about 4.5, 5%. So I don't think we're going to go to 4.5, but somewhere around 5, 6%, they're going to be a little bit more ready to jump. And when they sell their house, they're going to be a buyer too. So they are adding to the inventory, but they're really taking away from the inventory. So that watches itself out. Outside of those groups of buyers, you have first time home buyers, you have people coming from out of state, you have people that have been renting here to kind of get a feel for the area. So you're going to see a good fluctuation where they go down and then they're going to come back up maybe a little bit. I'm not sure what happens after that. It might stay stagnant, and I just think it's going to go wild. I think it's going to go crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So for the last year and a half, 2 years, maybe even longer, we really have been in what I would probably classify as a seller's market. Do you think that we're shifting more now since we have all this inventory where buyers maybe have a little bit more control?
I don't think we're going to be at a true buyer's market for a very long time. I feel like, in my opinion, a true buyer's market is where you have 10,000 listings to choose from. You have 100 of the same property, and you could go for any of them, and you could just kind of waste your time and just kind of see what happens. And now and probably for a good long while, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be like get now, grab, go. We do have more inventory, but that does not make it an automatic buyer's market, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair to say. So on my side of the world, when I am making offers for buyers that are getting mortgages, right? I'm a mortgage guy. I do mortgages. I don't sell houses. More and more often now, I'm seeing that seller concessions are happening. Whereas before, I feel like it was a lot more of a crapshoot, but I'm seeing it pretty regularly now. Is that because sellers are looking to try to offload their houses, or what do you think is contributing to why we're seeing more seller concessions?
I think that's definitely the nail on the head. Like I think you're in a market where you can leverage concessions. I I would say most agents know that you can do that, even if they don't, use that power or use that tool to their advantage. I always do for my clients. If I, feel like we can go for it, I'm gonna go for it. And if I feel like it's a little too out of our range, I'm still going to try, right? My clients pretty much know that I start with, hey, if we're talking about offers, questions are free. It's not going to cost anything for me to ask it, or negotiate, hey, this is the offer that I'm going to present and bring to you before I write it up. You know, would your sellers consider that? And even if they do give me a number and we wanted to actually go lower than that, I'll still shoot for that. Now, as long as it's respectable, if it's like 100,000 less on something that's 300, that's excessive, because I would hate for someone to do that to me on my listings, which
Sure.
they still do anyways. But I don't want to be that agent, and I don't want my buyers to, you know, look like they're not serious when they really are and they love the house and they want it that bad. Um, that's today's market. If we're talking about the future market where we're going into, we have, like I said, 3,700 listings and it's going to be closer to like 2,000 again. I don't really know the number, so don't, quote me on that. But closer to those numbers, you might not see the concessions because it doesn't matter. It's going to go back to multiple offers. I just had a multiple offer situation 2 weeks ago, and we lost by like a couple $1,000s, and it was just we couldn't pull it out. Um, and you haven't seen that because things are 100 days on market sometimes,
Mhm.
even the one we were going after. Um, so I feel like you're going to have that in the new market that I feel like is coming up very soon.
So you think that coming into the new market with maybe rates dropping and getting more people in, that we're going to see that we're going to have multiple offers as a regular thing like we did months ago?
It's a very high possibility. You also have to think like months ago, about a year ago, things were slightly different in the economy in general. A lot of people are scared about the insurance going up.
Mhm.
So that might scare people, just like the interest rates were scaring people. So you kind of put those two things together, and now they're a little bit more weary for some buyers. But a lot of people, their biggest desire is, hey, I want to own a home. So they kind of aren't going to care. They're going to be like, oh, I want this home so bad. I'm going after it, right? Um, so I guess to answer your question more thoroughly, yes, I feel like we're going to hit multiple offers again because we're already kind of seeing that some have concessions, some have smaller concessions, some have no concessions. But I don't see, right now I'm not seeing 20 offers on the table. It's more like two. Where we're going to go from here, I don't know if we're going to go that crazy, but we're probably going to get somewhere in the middle of that.
Makes sense. So we've seen a lot of folks moving into the area from South Florida, from other parts of the country. Are you still seeing that we're getting a lot of buyers that are moving here to the Space Coast because of one reason or another, and they're coming from other places? Or do you see that a lot of the buyers and sellers that you're interacting with are just moving in town?
Absolutely. I have someone that I just connected with is coming from Texas. So I'm still absolutely seeing people from other places coming down here. A lot of it's going to be Florida, right? A lot of people come because it's Florida.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the retirement home. Maybe it's not, for an Airbnb situation, which I do have some of those. But specifically coming, moving, living, it's because we're in Florida. We have palm trees and sunlight, where other people have snow and depression. So I'm just,
Snow and
I'm,
depression.
yeah, snow and depression, man. Um, so I think it's always going to be the lifestyle. People choose Florida for the lifestyle. You can find other homes, other places. They might even be bigger and cheaper, but it's not Florida. It's not beach. It's not salty air. It's not, toes in the sand.
That makes
So,
sense.
I mean, I also see people coming from other places of Florida to come to the Space Coast specifically. And there's a lot of benefits to being in the Space Coast. I don't know if we can name it all here today, but a lot of the new attractions coming up, a lot of the development coming up in specific cities, um, a lot of the beaches that are known, the historical sites, those types of things. People are coming here instead of other parts of Florida for those reasons.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems that the Space Coast continues to have this appeal, this draw that other parts of Florida don't seem to have. And we have the same beaches that they have, on the West Coast and South Florida, North Florida, but there's just that ambiance and that atmosphere that we have here on the Space Coast that can't be found anywhere else. So that's definitely a draw of people to come in. And plus, we're adding all of these government contract jobs. I mean, every single month I'm on the phone with some new employee at one of the big places here in town that does government contracting or works at the Cape, or you have a military family that's PCSing into Patrick Air Force Base. So there's just so many things going on here on the Space Coast in Brevard County that are exciting to so many people, and they're all clamoring to get here.
Right. So I guess let me put it in this way. If you think about just some other part of Florida, right? If you are thinking of, let's say, Jacksonville, is there any place in Jacksonville that you can enjoy the same way as going out of your back porch and watching a, rocket launch into space just because of the area that you live in? I don't think there really is something like that in Jacksonville other than traffic. Like, you just have traffic is how I view Jacksonville as a whole. Um,
Yeah. No shade on Jacksonville, but you definitely can't watch a rocket launch hanging out in your backyard.
exactly. And it's not just to pick on that city specifically. There's a lot of places. Tampa has better sunsets than we have sunrises. So, I mean, I guess you can put those two together, but you still can't watch a rocket launch. So,
That's
I
right.
think we have that beat on everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. And there seems like there's not just amazing rocket launches, but even some of the new local eats that are coming into town. I can't tell you how many times that I've gone to some new restaurant that opened up and I've just been blown away. Like, where have you been all my life? Like, we're getting
Right.
some really good food here in town too. And I'm not talking about major chains. I'm saying these are local people that live here, that raise their family here, that are giving back in a major way to our food and dining experiences here.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't name one off the top of my head at the moment. Um, Personally, I just came back from Orlando and their food choices, so it's kind of fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
But coming back here to the Space Coast is still a very different experience. I mean, like I said, I went to Orlando, Kissimmee area and dined over there, and I was underwhelmed. There was
Hmm.
nothing really there that blew my mind. Now, if you come over here, Melbourne has a lot of places. Titusville is getting a lot of good places too, especially for breakfast. If I'm doing showings up there, or I have a listing up there, I'll have my people go to um, certain breakfast places, and we sit and we have a lunch, or sorry, breakfast, brunch, lunch, those types of consultations, because I want you to experience the life out here. If you're trying to move here to Titusville, this is what we offer when it comes to food options. That's kind of crazy to think of, but it it makes you feel a certain way to say, "Hey, I live here. This awesome place is here. My family's coming to visit. We have to go check out whatever." And knowing that you're building that connection with your own clients to their own new community, to help a small business, it's kind of a good chain of good habits, all by food.
Yeah.
It's at least how I think about it. I don't know, it's how I think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that when people are looking at buying real estate that they want to try to put themselves nearby some of the places that they like to go, whether it's the beach, obviously if you're a surfer and you like to get up and go surfing in the morning, you want to be closer to the beach, but do you think other things other than just the beach itself really go into somebody's decision when they're buying real estate? Do they want to live near the restaurants that they like? Do they want to live near Kennedy Space Center? I mean, like, what kind of things do you think drive people to live in certain pockets or certain areas?
Absolutely. I think everyone has, no matter where you live, I think everyone has that thing that they can't give up. Like for me, it's fishing. As long as I'm close enough to go fishing and it's not a crazy drive to go out to like my favorite spot, or it's something that, let's say for other people, they love boating and they need to have a good 10-minute drive to the boat ramp. So that way it's not a long drive just to do the hobby that you want to do. It's very important to know what the amenities are. Maybe not just food, because food can change every now and then. Places can be bought and sold when it comes to that, but they're always going to have new food places. Boat ramps are a little bit harder to,
Sure.
reconstruct. Exactly.
Yeah. So when you're doing a buyer consultation or a seller's consultation, when you're thinking about listing a property, do you highlight those things that people enjoy about living in the area?
Absolutely. I think that, if your location is in a very desirable location, I think it needs to be known by the people that are looking at it. All of real estate is based off of location. You can like a house, it could be new construction, you could love that layout, but if it's not in the right location, you're probably not going to buy it, you know. If it's not close to the beach and your favorite thing is surfing or near the beach, you're probably not going to buy that specific piece of real estate because of where it is put, you know. You're more likely going to find the thing that's going to be closer to where you want to be all the time. Then you don't care about kind of being at home more often because you love the house, but you're also not far from your hobby or amenity, the thing that you love.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So putting all of that aside for just a moment, when we're looking at what you think is going to be happening in Brevard County and Space Coast real estate, probably over the next 90 to 120 days, we've seen over the course of the last year, year and a half, that we've had some significant appreciation in home sales prices. Everybody keeps saying that there's going to be this bubble, there's going to be this crash, rates are going to drop, home prices are going to drop. I'm not seeing that. What do you think about that?
I'm not seeing that at all. Honestly, I've had this conversation for the past almost 3 years since I've started in real estate. And my opinion is always going to be the same unless, for whatever reason, someone proves me wrong, right? If there's a bubble that's going to be burst, it's not just the housing bubble, it's going to be the economic bubble, right? So if, let's say, the person watching this makes $20 an hour, and your $20 an hour gets you so far. Maybe let's say that you have good employment history, and your spouse also makes $20 an hour, good rental history. Okay, so you both have basically the same job, same credentials. You're able to afford something that's 350, right, in today's market. If there was a bubble to burst, that house is now, let's say, 100,000, maybe 120,000. But your dollar per hour is now the equivalent of, let's say, like $7 an hour. So your money won't take you as far. You might be able to buy that house then, but I don't see any of that kind of change happening. So even if you were to buy a house today at the wage that you are today, I don't see the bubble bursting, right? And now your dollar's not going as far, as well as the house not being worth as much, right? Because then the same thing would happen to your groceries, your
Hmm.
everything, your milk, you know, bread, eggs, all the major economic components when it comes to just how stable the economy is, all of that would burst. The
Right.
stock market is directly connected to the housing market. So if any of that, then all of it goes. That's
Yeah.
my opinion.
I agree. I think that that's a great way to put it. There's going to be obviously some highs and some lows. We're already seeing that home prices are starting to neutralize a little bit. Like I said, we were seeing home values just going through the roof over the last couple of years. We were seeing appreciation in the teens and in the 20s in some cases, and we're just not seeing that right now. When I see the results that get published by the Space Coast Association of Realtors every month, we see that home values are starting to slow down a little bit. In some instances, we might have seen that the average sales price came down a tad, but we're not seeing these huge plummets that everybody's so concerned about. So that shows that Brevard County Space Coast real estate is still very healthy. It's still a great time to buy. It's still a great time to sell. There's really nothing that's going to stop somebody from coming into this area and not feeling comfortable, right?
Right. I think we're not in a, you know, super hot market. I don't think we're in a super cold market. I think we're just normal. I think it's
Yeah.
lukewarm. I think we're okay, right? People are able to move on with their lives one way or another, whether it's buying or selling. And I think that's the beauty of what we're in right now. However, when spring, summer transition happens, is my opinion of when this market change is going to happen. And I could be wrong. I'm not sure. When that happens, I feel like it's going to heat up for sure. It's going at some point to go back up. Right now, if we're here and it was here, we're just going to keep climbing and then eventually it's going to come back down again. It's just how real estate works. You have ups and you have downs, but right now we're in the middle.
Right. No, I agree. I think that that's a great way to put it. Well
Yeah.
phrased for sure. So
Yeah.
as we get into the spring, April, May, June, there's no way for us to know exactly what's going to happen. But historically, when we look at Brevard County and Space Coast real estate over the last several years, that's when we start to see a lot more movement too. People are thinking about coming here. They want to be here for the summer. They want to get themselves ready for getting everything dialed in so that when school starts again in the fall, their kids are ready to go. They know what they're doing. So I think we're in this perfectly timed situation where rates potentially might be getting a little bit better over the next 4 to 5 months. When I say a little bit better, I want to put an asterisk on that. We're not going to see the threes and the fours. A little bit
Right.
better means just that, a little bit better. But then we also are going to have a lot more homes that are going to be on the market. So as you said earlier in the podcast, we're going to see that a lot of these buyers are going to come back in, and we're going to see that we have all of this inventory, but all of that inventory is going to slowly get chewed up. Do you think that now is a good time, if I'm thinking about selling, that I should start to plan for that so that I'm not left behind?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are thrown off because right now everyone's wearing jackets. It's cold outside, right? But the market's still essentially hot when it comes to selling your house, right? There's still things that eventually will sell, but you're changing into the market that they're going to go back to being sold quickly. I've had things sell in hours. I've had things sell before they hit the market. I've had things sell off market, couple of days, but I've also had some that are even right now still listed and they're on their 45th day, but you're changing into the market where it's going to be less, right? But the difference is the people that are already listed now, the people that are already on the market and being seen now, you're going to have the buyers that are thinking that it's been on the market so long, let's give them an offer and see what happens. That's still an offer, right? If you're not on the market, you're not getting an offer. You're not, if your house is not being seen and no one knows about it, you're not getting anything. So you're definitely going to get left behind. If
Yeah.
you start creeping up into when the market changes or when these buyers eventually do come out, you are kind of gambling. The people that are already on the market right now are being seen right now, and even into the next coming weeks. If you wait too long and everyone else is already on the market and you're freshly new, you're kind of gambling. You're not being seen until right then. People might like the other house that much more, and then yours pops up, but they don't love it. It's a gamble. Or they absolutely love it and it's 3 days and I don't know what I'm talking about. It could go either way. But the
Sure.
sooner that you get it on the market, you're going to have an offer. And now some people might, you know, in the comments say like it's gonna be on the market for so long. If I list right now, I'm gonna get a really low offer, whatever. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you list right now and you get the same amount that you would later? You know, you're
Exactly.
you're getting the money quicker essentially. And then you're able to buy the thing that you want without multiple offers. If you're in that situation, all of buyers and sellers are in their own situation. So anytime I talk to anybody, it's like, hey, what is your situation? Then I can tell you what the market's going to do for you. not, hey, this is a general observation of the whole entire market and all of what I'm saying is an answer for you directly. It's going to be situational.
For sure. Absolutely. Everybody's in a bit of a different situation. There's no way for any of us to know exactly what's going to happen in the coming months. But if you think that you want to buy or sell right now, it's a good time to reach out to Clinton and find out exactly what you can do, what you can plan for, even if you're not ready to do it right now. And I tell everybody when they're talking about pre-approval too, like there's nothing wrong with seeing where you stand right now. And then this way, hey, I'm good to go. Or, hey, I really wanted to qualify for this much, or I really wanted to sell my house for that much, and then putting a plan together to get you there.
Right. I have people that are a couple years out because they're working on their credit,
Sure.
but they know that when that happens, where they're going to be based
Mhm.
off of the situation that they're in at the moment. And the only way we know that is because we're having them call Nate or Nate's calling them, and we're setting up a game plan to where now if you do XYZ, you know what's going to happen in this time frame. All you have to do is do those things, and now you're lining up to the plan that we're talking about.
Yep. Exactly. Awesome. All right. So I ask all of my guests, Clinton, this question, and it's going to
Yeah.
be hard because everybody struggles with it a little bit. So I want you to just take a moment and tell me if you had to pick just one thing about working or living on the Space Coast that you absolutely love, what is that one thing?
That is a very hard
I know.
question.
Yeah.
I think it's going to probably be split between diversity of people because we are pretty diverse
Hmm.
in the types of people that we have here in the Space Coast and the probably the connections with my clients. I think a lot of my clients enjoy a lot of the same things that I do. And that for me brings me joy because now I can kind of relate to, hey, I know we both like this. Here's what I would do. I had someone recently close and they bought the same house that I just bought, new construction, very specific floor plan in the very specific area, same exact house. And we went through the whole thing like, hey, what would you do? Oh, I did this because blah blah blah. But we had very similar taste, so it worked out very well. And it's not like they're cloning my house, but they're putting their own taste on it
Sure.
given my recommendation. So it's awesome because I can have people that I have clients that bought a boat because they moved here because they wanted to be on the water. I love to be on the water. I love to fish. So they're like, hey, let's go on the boat that I just bought so we can all go fishing because they enjoy the same things that I do. I think that's
Right.
the biggest thing for me is the reason why I'm still here, the reason why I live here is because of the things that I enjoy. And bringing the people that are coming here to do the same things that I already enjoy is my favorite part.
Yes. Awesome. I love that answer. It's great that you can connect and relate with some of your buyers and sellers like that and on a personal level. When you take something from a very transactional business like real estate and you can find that relational connection, it's amazing.
Right.
So awesome.
I I've bought cars before, but I'm, not sell cars, but I bought cars in general and I've met car salesmen and that's like the one thing I don't want to be is so salesy that hey, you want to buy a house, hey, you want to buy a car. Boom, I have this model. This is your payment. I don't want it to be just that. I
Yeah.
want it to be that step above that, hey, this is the lifestyle that you're purchasing essentially.
Yeah.
And when you purchase it, you are able to do this. This unlocks for you. You're able to do whatever you want in this scenario. And then I have people that come back years later or even months later sometimes. Hey, I still love the lifestyle. I want to bank on my equity. Now they're still here. They're still a friend. They're still transacting in a sense, but on a different level because now they can bank the equity and find a different spot in the same lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. That is
Yeah,
huge. All right, sir. So I'm going to put your contact info in the show notes and everything. But if somebody wants to reach out to you on social or just in general, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
absolutely. The best way is going to be phone. So text or call the phone number 321-610-1069. And then additionally, social media where me and Nate have plenty, or myself have plenty of videos, pictures, little graphics that you can see through your home buying experience. And that's going to be CL Realtor underscore from TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, everything when it comes to social media. Follow me on there, and you should have a pretty good understanding of who I am and what I'm about.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come chat with us this afternoon, my friend. And I really wish you an amazing week and a lot of success. So take care.
Absolutely, man. Same to you. We'll talk soon.